Said stand, how are we all doing? We're going to be talking about a potential move for Gareth Bale, an Anthony Martial agenda, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. We'll also be talking about Gary Neville's comments about the Glazers. Some United fans feel he's a traitor. I think that's way overboard. Declan Rice playing for England tonight. Is he really an option for Manchester United? The resurrection of Marcus Rashford's form and lots of other topics as well. It is the Sunday Night Live show. Smash a like on the video and get involved. And I just want to say as well, I did a stream yesterday from 10:30 in the morning until 1 o'clock at night, and we raised over £10,000 on my other channel, which is That's Football. Probably should have done it on this channel. I regret that, but the link is still in the video description. You can still contribute. If you were not aware of it, please do. Over £10,000 in a day stream is stunning, and you know, I'm still very tired from it myself now. If you go onto the page, there's so many people who've made contributions and made a comment about how cancer has impacted on them and their friends and their families. That's what we were raising for. The link is in the video description. If you weren't aware of it and you want to contribute, we can still knock it up even higher. It's been absolutely brilliant. What a weekend on the international break. So thanks everybody for that. It just shows what good can be done from YouTube and social media. You know, a lot of people say, oh, it's toxic, the negative stand. Well, shove it up your arse with a bit of lube, because, you know, this is what we can do. This is the power of what we can do when we all come together. We've all got different opinions, but absolutely fantastic. I've just been thrown by a comment there, actually. So yeah, link in the video description for that. Please give it a go. But let's fly into the topics. I really want to get into this. There's loads and loads to discuss. And I really want to... The main thing I want to talk about... we will talk about the Gareth Bale thing. Thank you for that stream, says Karim Magari. It was brilliant, wasn't it? Some of the FIFA stuff we did was great as well. But yeah, so look, the Gareth Bale story is interesting. It's coming from the Sun. So yes, let's all take a very big pinch of salt. But Gareth Bale does want to leave Real Madrid, and there is a feeling that he didn't go to China because Real Madrid want a fee for him and they felt that Manchester United were interested. Obviously, they want Paul Pogba. Gareth Bale wants to leave. Zidane wants to get rid of Bale. Zidane wants Pogba. Pogba wants Real Madrid. Do United want Bale? This is the thing, and it's funny, just because before I went live, and I really want to talk about this Martial thing and the Gary Neville thing, but we've got to get through this first. Just before I went live, I saw someone in the live comments say, and I won't name who they are because they might not want to be named, and they were like, oh, if we're getting Gareth Bale, that's it. That's the final nail in the coffin. I'm out. And I was like, this is just the situation with Manchester United at the moment, isn't it? We all have these sort of... We're all at different levels of being fed up with what's going on, and some people would not like Gareth Bale to come to Manchester United. I mean, for me, I forget how old Gareth Bale is, and I'm just a bit tired today, so I haven't actually researched that. I wish I had. But Bale better not come, says JT Music. And Ben Wookie says, amazing stream for a great cause from a great guy. Thanks, Ben, for that. Bale is not wanted at United, says Michael Jones. And Absolute Zero, I have added up the super chats, but I have to wait 3 or 4 days for the YouTube to take off whatever percentage they're going to take off, because some people said 30%, some people said 55%. So when they have done that, which takes a couple of days to process, I will tweet out what the amount is, because I'm sure there'll be people out there going, oh, you're trying to nick some of the money for yourself, which I've already had people accusing me of that, which I find fucking disgusting, considering I spent like 15 hours live yesterday raising over 10 grand, and people think I'm going to take a percentage of the super chats. I mean, just fucking ridiculous. So I will be tweeting that out as a screenshot so people can see exactly how much that is. But I think it should be about 2 grand on top of that, what we've done already. So yeah, links in the video description if you want to do Just Giving. United getting top 4 heavily depends on January transfer window, says Where is 22. Bale to play striker, guaranteed 25 goals a season, says Alex Ferguson. And some people are saying they want Bale. Ben says Bale is 30, so what is this crap about building for the future? It's an interesting one, Bale, isn't it? Get in the live comments and tell me what you think about it, because I said in the summer, no to Gareth Bale. He's too old, he's too injury prone, and he's too interested in golf. And I saw a funny tweet today, Wales, golf, Real Madrid, in that order are the priorities for Gareth Bale. So look, I don't think this will happen. I've got to say to you, I don't think this will happen. But I saw somebody saying today about Declan Rice. Yes, he's bang average, but he's still better than a lot of what we've got. Is that what we're going to do now? Are we just going to take what players that are better than what we've got? Because Mark Noble's better than what we've got in the midfield, so we sign him as well. So in relation to Gareth Bale, some are saying he's a top player, some are saying hell no. I think in relation to Bale, he's on £650,000 a week. This is a lot of money for Gareth Bale, right? So I think that he's probably not what we need, but the situation we're in, would you say no to Gareth Bale? Would you say no to Bale over nobody? Of course you wouldn't. You'd take Gareth Bale, wouldn't you? So if it's Bale or nobody, I think Bale could come in and do a certain job. But what's his injury status like? What's his attitude like? What's his appetite like for playing for Manchester United? And as that person said, we do need a rebuild. So if we were to go and sign Gareth Bale in January, I think there would be a lot of fans that would be excited, but I think there'd be a lot of fans that would be really annoyed as well, because what is that got to do with a future rebuild? Buying a player that is on a steep decline, who does have an injury record, who isn't really hungry for football anymore, doesn't appear to be anyway, and would be ridiculously expensive. And also, you know, there's talk of Pogba plus 60 million for Bale. I mean, they'll give us 60 million and Bale for Pogba. I mean, that's valuing Bale at 100 million pounds, which he's not. So I think that, to me, it's a no. It is a no for Bale, unless he was coming in at a ridiculously cheap price and taking a big wage cut. So, because for many reasons, I think he's a big question mark. I would take Bale tomorrow on loan. I said that last summer. Gareth Bale on loan for a year, I would have done that to see what he's got left, but not as a player. Bale would have been a great loan. DJ's development, says Wrecking Wenches. I totally agree with that. It's better to have a 30-year-old Bale than 34-year-old Mandzukic in the team, says Praveen Thomas. I do agree with that. And Aidan G says Bale would be good as a short-term fix and some quality depth for the attack. Premier League proven, and would be a goal machine if we can get him on the cheap. Let's do it. And I think that's what I would say. It would have to be on the cheap. It would not have to be an expensive thing, and I don't know whether we could do that with Real Madrid. I suppose the one thing about Bale is, if you compare Bale to a Mandzukic can really pretty much play up front. He's not particularly quick. Yes, he can play off the left, but he's not particularly quick. Gareth Bale could play anywhere across those front three positions, just like Rashford can, just like Dan James can, just like Anthony Martial can, just like Mason Greenwood can. So a player like Bale would be... I think people are worried about Haaland coming in or Mandzukic coming in because they would, potentially stop Greenwood getting game time. The thing about Bale is he can play any of those three positions. He's fluid, just like Rashford, just like James, just like Martial, just like Greenwood. So that sort of a player would be ideal. I think we want a player that can play any of the front three positions, and Bale can do that. But I'd lean a little bit towards a no if it was down to me. United are interested in Mexican youngster Cordova, says Dogmadon Boss. And who me says Bale, yes, marquee signing, but he's way past his sell-by date. He's aging, injury prone, no pace, can't take a man on anymore. What's he bringing to the table? I just don't think it will happen, Humi, but we're there to talk about it. I want to talk about Anthony Martial here. I was actually going to do the show about this. I was going to go flying into it, but as the day's gone on, and I am very, very tired. I mean, I got about 4 or 5 hours sleep last night, so I am tired today. So I didn't want to. I suppose I've calmed down as the day has gone on. Rem says that Martial can't play right wing. Oh, of course Martial can play right wing. He's bloody right-footed for a start. So is Marcus Rashford. They don't play right wing, but they can both play right wing because they both use their right foot. So of course they could play right wing. Anyway, let's talk about Anthony Martial. There was something that came out this morning which I just really, really wound me up, and I was very tired this morning, and a lot of you probably won't know about it. But there was a story that came out this morning, and it was basically along the lines of that Martial can do more. There's a lack of he pulled out of a game in May 2016. He's not had a cap for France in 20 months. There's a feeling he's got a bad attitude. He could do more. He's got lots of talents, but and it just feels to me like it's why is that article coming out right now? Like, basically, one of the things is that he pulled out a game against Norwich in 2016 with an injury and then trained the next day, and there's some sort of indication that a player at the time said he just couldn't be bothered. And it's building this picture again that Anthony Martial's got a bad attitude by saying that, look, he's had no caps for France in 20 months. That's 3 or 4 managers who never really fancied him potentially because of a bad attitude. But I would say, why is this coming out? Why is this a story now? Because there's 2 things for me here. One, I don't give a shit about France. I'm not bothered about France. It's their loss. I care about what he does in a United shirt. What he's been doing in a United shirt this season, and he's missed half of it with injury, has been bloody superb. Like I said immense earlier on Twitter, and some people are like, you're going over the top there. And I said, no, but in relation to where we are a mid-table team. When Anthony Martial has played, he's made Rashford better, he's made Fred better, he's made Dan James better. And every game he's played for this season, he's been brilliant. With his work rate, with his hold-up play, bringing others into the game. I mean, the last game against Brighton, he got 2 assists and didn't score a goal. He was absolutely superb in that game. And he's been like it week in, week out. Absolutely superb this season. So why are we getting a story about him pulling out a game in 2016, which is 3 years ago? 3 years ago. And they're dragging up a story and putting that question mark about Anthony Martial. Do you think Arsenal fans give a shit about Anthony Martial? Do you think Liverpool fans do? This is totally for United fans to read about one of our most important players and form a negative thought process about him. And I don't get it. I just don't get why a story like that is coming out right now. It worries me why a story like that is coming out right now, because it just feeds negativity around a player that actually is performing on the pitch. And you know where I'm going like with this. Yet again, it's a French player for Manchester United being targeted by the English media when you've got 2 English young players who have been crap for 8 months. And I've not seen a negative story written by them at all. And Rashford is doing well at the moment, partly because of Martial. But there's Jesse Lingard, who's been atrocious for 18 months, and I've never seen an article written about him. I've never seen an ex-player say anything about him. And Anthony Martial is performing in a Manchester United shirt this season. We can all see it with our own eyes, and we get a story about something from 2016 in May against Norwich, and we're questioning his bad attitude, and he can do more. Is anybody actually watching what he's doing at the moment? It's ridiculous. It's bloody ridiculous. Thanks to Arari and Pogba for Bale plus 60 million or Pogba for Ronaldo, says George Broadway. Well, they do play for different clubs. Sean D says, bring whoever you want, Bale, Ronaldo, but Martial has to play as our striker. And Victor Battery says, forget bringing Bale. We need to bring in leaders and not just players that play for money. If Bale comes to United, he's getting a pay rise like Alexi. Well, I just want to go back to that. What do you think about... What do you think about Anthony Martial? I mean, am I wrong or what? I just feel it's a story that doesn't need to be told. The only purpose of that story is to put doubt in Manchester United fans' minds about his attitude and think negative thoughts about a player who is performing on the pitch. If he wasn't performing on the pitch, I'd say, well, I suppose there's a bit of validity to it, but it's still a story from May 2016. But hey-ho, look at what Jesse Lingard's been doing. Like, why are we not getting the stories about Jesse Lingard and his incompetence? Because he's an English player and he's an English media darling, just like Rashford, just like the same old thing. But Pogba or Martial, any little negative angle and they're straight in having a go at them. Some people say it's xenophobia. I don't want to go down that road at all. That's not what I'm saying. What I would say is that the English press have their favourites and they just consistently have their targets as well, and this feels like an absolutely ridiculous agenda to be coming out with when he's performing really, really well. He's taken that number 9 shirt off Lukaku and he's been absolutely superb in it. Rashford played in it when Martial was injured and was atrocious. He's gone to the left wing and he looks like a different player, Rashford. And Martial, when he's played in that number 9 shirt, has looked like absolutely superb. And then we're getting this story coming out about a bad attitude, and I'm like, where is this? I mean, is it coming? Are the club leaking it out? Are the club leaking it out for some reason? It doesn't make sense, does it? So why is it coming out? Why is it coming out? Why have people got a problem with him? It doesn't make any sense at all. Man United didn't want Bale, says Amsterdam. Rashford scoring another goal for England today, says Joel. Says, yeah, very, very good. Martial is so underrated, says Callum Leslie. I think anybody who knows anything about football knows how well Martial's been playing this season, and it surprised even me because he's my favourite player, and obviously I'm going to defend him. But I always thought he was a brilliant left winger. what I've seen of him this season and as a number 9 has been remarkable, and I do applaud Ole Gunnar Solskjaer on that, because Martial and Ole have obviously worked closely and he's given him some tips, because to go from a player that's brilliant running at people with the ball in front of him to a player that's also brilliant with his back to goal, the moves he makes, the hold-up play, the work rate, feeding other people into the game, it's the assists as much as it's the goals, it's the work rate as well. His all-round game has gone up such a level. And that's what irritates me most about this story, is that this is a player that has this season shown a remarkable change from his last 2 or 3 years, because he's gone into a new role and he's absolutely owned it. He's been brilliant and his work rate's been brilliant. And look at some of the things as well, like after the game against Partizan, when he was moaning at Pereira because Pereira wasn't playing the right balls. Before the game against Brighton, speaking to Pereira with Rashford, telling him where to be putting the ball. That's a player who cares. That's a player who's focused. So I just think a story like that coming out, really, we should be reacting to that and saying that's a load of bollocks. Who is that for? Why are you doing that about a player for our club that is actually producing? It's an agenda. And I'm sick of these agendas against Pogba and Martial. I mean, I think Pogba will leave, but I'm sick of it, because it's a media bias. It's a media bias against players that don't deserve that sort of scrutiny, when there are players within our clubs and other clubs who do deserve it, but because they play for England, they don't get it. It's just not right for me. It's just not right. We are a different team with Martial in it, says Red 92. Well, we've seen that already. We look a lot more dangerous with him. Joel says Martial was a striker when he first came to us. He got forced onto the left wing because of Ibra. It's not a new role for him. It is a new role for him, Joel, because as many people will agree with me, Martial, when he was playing centrally for Van Gaal, is very different to the Martial now. I don't think he was capable of what he was doing when he first came to the club in relation to his hold-up play, his energy to bring other people into the game. He's totally different. There's a real maturity to the way he's playing that obviously wasn't going to be there when he first came here. Anthony's been a Rolls Royce. He's been the catalyst for our turnaround, says Jeff Allison. Yeah, you know what? Look, maybe it's a bit of a moan from me, but ultimately I just feel that we've got to be protective of players that are playing well. We're very protective of Wan-Bissaka. We're very protective of Dan James and Scott McTominay, and Fred's getting a lot of praise. But Martial, he's our big player. I think he's our most important player. I said this 2 or 3 weeks ago that everyone's always scrutinising when Paul Pogba's coming back, and I'm interested to see what Pogba does when he comes back. But I think Martial's more important to us. He signed the long-term contract. He's here for the long term. He has the potential to be one of the best strikers in the league, and at the moment he's acting that part quite well. Yeah, he's still got to keep doing it consistently and stay injury free, like somebody said there. But we've got a hell of a player here, and he makes a big difference to our team. So I think we need to be shining positivity on there, because the last thing we want is a player who's getting attacked by the media, and then the fans start to believe it. He'll be off. He'll be like, why would I stay here? We see it with Arsenal a lot. These players that these sort of rumours go around about them, and then they're off. So I mean, we've got to be very protective of Martial. He's performing on the pitch. We've got to protect that player. I don't see the relevancy of rumours about a bad attitude from 2016, or even if it was last week. So bloody what? He's performing. He's performing on the pitch, and he's clearly a big part of the team. You can see there is a unity between that team. You can see that the players are getting on. So don't let it hurt it. When he first came to the Prem, he was called the new Thierry Henry, which felt like a lazy comparison, but I genuinely think he could be that good, says Lee Galdart. And Raykal Baramori, this is like Arsenal with Benzema. Every year we link to him and he doesn't show. I think that's about the Bale thing. And Jeff Allison says, I've said that about the Rolls Royce. So we'll have to wait and see about that one. But Martial is the Ferrari among the Fiats, says Kussel. Would you take Havertz at United, says Shazib? 100%. I just think he'll end up at Bayern Munich, to be honest with you, because of his journey. The console genius says Bruno. Well, look, if anybody watched the video yesterday, I still think we should be signing Bruno Fernandes. What an assist he got for Portugal. Takes too many risks, apparently. We're foolish not to have gone and got him, but I don't think he will come in the end. Eyes Our Planet says, because Martial's in form, stories to disrupt us. Yeah, but, it just doesn't make any sense, does it? And Sean D says, build a team around Martial. He's the only one player committed, and destiny is unfortunate. Child, bring Bale or whoever, build a team around Martial. And I think that's what Ollie's trying to do. I think the improvement in the team has been so much better since we've had Martial in it. And Tony Martial says Martial is as important to us, just like Firmino is important to Liverpool. I'm really excited to get that game against Sheffield United next week, and Martial not being part of the France setup benefits us. He's had 2 weeks off, fit and fresh, and I think I can't wait. I can't wait. As I said on the stream yesterday, United between now and pretty much the end of January, but certainly New Year, we're playing 2 games a week. It's weekend, midweek. It's going to be very, very hectic. So yeah, let's see what happens. Sally Devil Red 7 says raise the Bruno ship. I just want to say about Rashford as well. He's in fantastic form at the moment. He really is in fantastic form. You can't say that Martial's in great form and then not say Rashford is. And I think Rashford's game has improved because the pressure's not on. When he goes to England, there's better players with more pressure on. Harry Kane plays down the middle, that takes the pressure off Rashford. Martial being back now plays down the middle, that takes the pressure off Rashford. When Martial was injured, Rashford was doing that number 9 role. He can't really do it, and all the pressure's on him, and you felt his confidence was dropping. Since Martial's come back to do that role, he plays off the left, he picks the ball up and he's running at the goal instead of having his back to it. So I think Rashford's been brilliant over the last month, really. We shouldn't forget he was awful for 8 months, but he's responded and now he's being consistently going the other way. Unlike Lingard, he was just consistently terrible, isn't it? So Rashford deserves a lot of credit as well. And we go into this very important period of games between now and New Year with Rashford playing well, Dan James playing well, Martial playing well. Again, the problem is that midfield, isn't it? Pogba's not going to be back. How long's McTominay out for? It's going to be very interesting. Ibrahima John says, hello Mark, hope all is well. I just read that Thiago wants to join United and is available for 60 million. Would you take him? And Bruno and Haaland. I mean, Thiago Alcantara, I would take him because, again, he's a player I quite like. And he's got qualities. I don't think it will happen. I would like it to have happened a few years ago when we wanted to get him, but he went to Bayern, didn't he, from Barcelona? I don't think it will happen. But again, am I just saying that because he's better than what we've got? And that's not necessarily the answer. Mark, I heard you said you would sell Bailly and Dalot, says Abdul. I would sell Bailly and Dalot. Because I'm ruthless about what I think Manchester United need to do. I think we're still a little bit too airy-fairy about what we want to do. It's like, oh yeah, let's give him another chance. We signed Bailly, who was injury-prone, and he's remained injury-prone. We signed Dalot injured, and he's remained injury-prone. I give Phil Jones a lot of stick because over the last 6 years, he's spent more time on the treatment table than a packet of Band-Aids. And he's not particularly good either, but I would have got rid of Phil Jones. I'd get rid of Bay and I would get rid of Dalot. I don't think they're ever going to stay fit. So what is the point? Just bring in Maddison and Ndidi and you will see how good Martial and Manchester United is, says Sean D. Well, we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. And Aidan G says, do we even want Pogba back? He's potentially risking the team morale and recent run of form. One player can bring down a whole team. Well, at the moment, Aidan, we would take him back, wouldn't we? Because McTominay's out. But it's going to be interesting how Pogba comes into the team and what he does for the team. I think that Pogba position ahead of Fred and McTominay would be a really good thing to try because Pogba wouldn't have to work as hard getting back. He would have that freedom to express himself. And I think we'd see a better Paul Pogba doing that. But we'll have to wait and see what happens with it. Maybe we have to be realistic here. Everyone talks about Sancho, Havertz, Werner, Haaland, Fernandes, Young and Hungary, when in reality we look at Mandzukic, Bale, etc. Such a difference in quality, something just does not add up, says Humi. Well, we're going to find out what happens with that. Feel like everyone is linked to us and nothing solid, says Jared Vessels. Well, I was talking to Flex because he's going to do the Flex and Rant show tomorrow and they've got a very special guest and that'll be on Tuesday. I was saying one thing you might want to talk about is all the transfers because we've started doing Transfer Weekly now on the United Stand as we build towards January and we are getting linked to a lot of players and I just wonder actually if a lot of it is to do with the club leaking it out to create positivity around a very uncertain time. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if we signed nobody in January. On the other hand, I wouldn't be surprised if we signed 2 players. So it's going to be interesting. What I would say personally is I don't trust the club. I don't trust transfer news because I think we had a bad summer last year. I think we had a bad summer this year. We had a non-existent 2 January transfer windows in the last 2. So there's not a lot of evidence to believe in them. And obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said at the start of the summer, you'll be surprised at the quality of player we sign. And there was lots of talk about lots of money. And we had a £60 million net spend and we were surprised by nothing that we signed. So you can't really believe anything that comes out of the club anyway. So we'll just have to wait and see. How much in total, including super chats last night, Mark, says Alvin Blocks. So well, the link's in the video description. People can still contribute if they weren't aware of the money we raised yesterday for cancer treatment and care. 10,300 I think we're on. And then there's super chats that we need to see how much YouTube take, because it can be between 30 and 50%. So I think we'll have another 2,000 to add on that as well, which is stunning, isn't it? You know, over £12,000 in a day stream is stunning to do that. But if you weren't aware of it, check the link in the video description. You can see how much we've raised. You can see people who've left loads and loads of comments about how cancer has impacted on their friends and family. Some really real stories, I would say. And I just think that, you know, this community that we've built is amazing, and it shows how amazing it is when you can do things like that. So it's probably going to be a couple of days for YouTube to tell you how much money you got off a particular stream, and when we do it, I will put it up on Twitter and I'll put it up on here so people can see exactly how much we got, because I'm not having these dickheads accusing me of trying to take a bit of money from a charity through. I mean, as I said, there's toxic knobheads out there, isn't there? And, you know, we were live all day yesterday raising a lot of money, and you get somebody saying, oh, I bet you're going to pocket a couple of hundred yourself. Like, for what reason? For what reason? Delo and Wan-Bissaka battle it out, and Shaw and Williams to battle it out, says Mohammed Hassan. Yes, hopefully. But look, let's get on to this next topic, because I think this is a big one. Abrina John, hello Mark, just curious who is actually responsible for transfer decisions, Ollie or Woodward, Man United chief scout, thanks. Well, Abrina John, it was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer who came out a few weeks ago and said that Manchester United had money in the summer, but the right player wasn't available, and he has the final say. I don't necessarily know if that's true, but when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer comes out and takes ownership of it, I don't. I think you've got to take a look at the general picture, haven't you? And have a look at that and say, you know, this has been going on for a long time before. The incompetence in the transfer window has been going on for a long time before Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was here. So I would say that, you know, it isn't the case. Look, what an interesting thing that you may also not be aware of is that Gary Neville's been getting a little bit of stick on social media over the weekend. He's been called a bit of a traitor because he has spoken about the Glazers at Manchester United, and some United fans, especially the Glazer out movement, are not happy with Gary Neville, and they're saying that he's, you know, a bit of a Glazer fanboy, and he's on their payroll, and he's a traitor to the fans. I don't actually, and I hope some people have read it, because I want to know. I mean, look, Illa United says Neville's a Judas, and I don't necessarily. Thanks, Ronald. I mean, what he's basically said is this: that Gary Neville's on the books 100%, says Paul Robinson. Well, you know, Paul's a moderator, and, you know, hopefully he'll come on the call in tomorrow night. But and lost respect for Neville, says Samuel R. So look, I'm just going to read some of your comments before I sort of say it. Basically, what he said was that there are worse owners than the Glazers, and there are better owners than the Glazers, and, you know, effectively saying the grass might not always be greener. He said that he's met them a few times and he knows them, and these owners are people who sat through 2 years of the green and gold movement, and, you know, all the protests and everything, and never budged an inch on wanting to sell the club. And they're not going to sell the club until they want to sell the club. So, you know, all these protests that the fans do, he's basically saying, is they ain't going to work, because the Glazers just aren't going to be interested in it. They'll just do whatever they want to do. And obviously after that, he said that, you know, the club, you know, there are worse owners than the Glazers. And yes, there might be better owners, but, you know, the grass isn't always greener, I suppose. And what he said is, it would be hypocritical of him to, you know, start going on about getting rid of the Glazers when he was paid by them for 5 or 6 years as a player, and never said a word about it. So, and obviously Gary Neville is a Manc. He's Mancunian. He's a Manchester United fan. He's passionate about Manchester United, and he stated what he thinks. And I think it's angered a lot of people, because they want Gary Neville, because they know he's a very influential person, to come out and say the Glazers are poisonous. They shouldn't be in charge of the club. We need to get them out of the club. And because he's not doing that, and because he's saying, look, there's worse owners, there's better owners, but they're not going anywhere anyway, and I don't feel like I can do that because they paid me my wages for 5 or 6 years, and I never said a word then, and what's changed? You know what? I actually do agree with him on that. I agree with him on that point, because I've always said, in relation to the Glazers, I'm not the Glazers out now because we didn't have a good transfer window and because we're in the worst position we've ever been under their regime. That's not why I'm Glazers out. I was Glazers out the minute they took over. I was Glazers out when I heard they were trying to take over. I was Glazers out when we won the Champions League in 2008. I've always been Glazers out because I don't like the fact that they bought us on debt, that they're not Manchester United fans, and they're just businessmen sucking the blood out of the club. I've always been Glazers out for that reason. So Gary Neville's right. When I was Glazers out, and a lot of you were Glazers out, Gary Neville was there taking his wages off the Glazers as a player. And he never came out and said, I ain't going to play for United because these idiots control us. So I can sort of see his argument there. I can sort of see his argument that there are worse owners. We could have a lot worse owners than them. We could have a lot better owners than them. And I do agree with him that they're not going to sell this club unless they really want to do it, because they're businessmen and they've made a lot of money out of it. But so what he's saying is very similar to what I've always said, is that, look, what do you want to do? I've never liked them being in charge with us, but where are they going to go? What are they going to do? As he said, they rode out 2 years of the green and gold scarves and everything that was going on, and they never budged an inch. So why are they going to do that now? I suppose the difference with me and Gary Neville is that he doesn't want to say anything about it. But I will. I'm quite happy to say I wish they would go. I don't want them to be here. I think they are poisonous to the club, and I think they've held us back. I will say that. Why he doesn't want to say that is his opinion. I think you've got to respect it. You might not like it, but we're in the middle of an election in the UK at the moment, and I see a lot of people on Twitter I get on with, and they're saying this party's a disgrace and this party's right. And I don't agree with them. I think they've got it the wrong way around, but they're passionate. They have their reasons for it, and I'm not going to fall out with them because of that. So I haven't lost any respect for Gary Neville. I don't think he's a traitor to Manchester United at all. I think he's got an opinion. He's put it out in the public forum. Some people don't agree with it. Some people do. That's the way it is, isn't it? That is the way it is. I understand why people are pissed off, because they would like somebody as influential as him to be a big voice for them and to say, you know, they shouldn't be in charge. What is a little bit interesting is that a year ago, when Mourinho was going to get sacked before the Newcastle game, Gary Neville went mad and said Mourinho should not be sacked. The problems at Manchester United go a lot higher than him. And he was very, very passionate. And then a year later, he's not like that anymore. I don't know what's gone on there. Because for me, I think he's already shown his cards that he realises that there's problems with the club from top to bottom. He just clearly doesn't want to get involved in that. And, you know, he's a very successful man. He's a pundit. He's just opened up a new hotel. He's a very successful businessman. He's done fantastically well, and maybe just doesn't want to get involved in that because it doesn't suit him to get involved in that. And his opinion is that they're not going to go anywhere. It's a wasted effort. And I know a lot of people like that. I know a lot of people who don't want the Glazers at the club, but they know that nothing's going to change because there is nothing to do to get rid of them, and that's the way it is. JT Music says, well, his opinion's invalid. Well, that's not how it works, mate. It's his opinion. You might not like it, but it is his opinion. Woodward has been in the job 6 years and still can't do the job, says Michael Jones. Harry Kane is totally unrealistic to sign, says Dylan Wester. I would like Harry McCain. What owners have sanctioned more money for their managers to spend than Manchester United over the last 10 years? Madrid and City. The Glazers' agenda is ridiculous, says Green Fort Riot. Well, you see, that's a different side of the coin, and we have spent a lot of money. But they're still non-United fans sucking money out of the club. And for every £1 we've spent, we could have spent double that. So, yeah, we have spent money, and it has been spent badly by the club. But there we go. That's just how it is, I suppose. The politics might have been different when Gary Neville was playing and biting the hand that feeds you and all that stuff, says Stephen David. Sometimes I doubt Neville's opinions, says Soph E. Well, that's what happens when you're in the public eye. Mark, I disagree because I think they will sell because of stocks and all that. I just can't see them here, says Faisal Aruja. And I think, you know, on the sale of Manchester United, I for one would love it if there was something in these rumours But unfortunately, I've said this before, there's too many people pretending they know information about Manchester United being sold because they're believing this journalist who keeps tweeting from Saudi Arabia. And maybe there is some truth in it, but I genuinely have always said I think it's a load of bollocks. But you've got, I mean, there's even one of our fan cammers who says, he said 2 weeks ago, I know for a fact it's going to happen. He was asked about it the other day and they went, yeah, it's going to happen in the next couple of weeks. Well, I hope they're right, but I think they're talking out their arse. I think that they are. I think they're trying to make out they know something that everybody else, from credible outlets to non-credible outlets, are saying there is no indication that Manchester United are looking to sell. The Glazers are looking to sell Manchester United. So, and I don't think that we will. I don't think that we will. But you've got to make your own choice in life. And look, I understand why some people are probably disappointed that Gary Neville won't say we've got to get the Glazers out. They're poisonous, this, that, and the other. But he is a businessman, and how does that benefit him? You know, the business mind is a very different mind to the passion-driven mind, because the business mind will look at a scenario, and maybe Gary Neville does want the Glazers out of Manchester United, but as a businessman, how does that benefit him when he knows they're not going to go anywhere and he knows he can't get them out? Of course, you're only getting in it for the passion. You're only going to say it for the passion, but as a business person, it doesn't make sense to do it. So you can't be critical of someone because they don't have the same opinion as you. You can disagree with them. You can think that, yeah, they should be saying that because they're influential, but ultimately it's their choice, it's their opinion, and at least he hasn't stayed quiet about it. He has actually come out and said, that was hot. It's normally cooler down there now. Awara says, can you see Ndidi ending up at United? He's superb. I don't see us getting Maddison and Ndidi. No. Do you think the Glazers will give Ollie the funds to succeed? Says Max 226. Max, I think that, well, as I said yesterday, there's this rumour that he's going to get £200 million to spend over the next year. I don't personally think that's enough, because I think this is part of the Glazer movement, is it? They'll give money and they'll make it look like it's a lot of money, right? But if you look at the last 4 transfer windows, we've spent 60, 0, 60, 0. Nothing in either January transfer windows, and in the last 2 summers, it's been a net spend of 60. So we've spent 120 million off 4 transfer windows, which is an average of 30. If they were to give him 200 in the next month, in the next year, everyone would go, "Oh, he's had 200 million." But actually, we've not really spent that much. So I think that the summer transfer window, we should have spent 200 million. We spent just over 60, didn't we? So there's still 150 left from that. And next summer, we should spend another 150. So realistically, it should be 300 million. But I bet we won't even get the 200 million that's rumoured to get. So, but he needs, I've always said, I said it before May, that he needs 600. That club needs 600 spending on it. It needs half of that team gone and another half of the team coming in. So, yeah, we're going to have to wait and see. Take Zlatan back for the Europa League. Big respect on the comments, says Damu. Zlatan's not coming back. He's not going to come back. Mr. Beast says, Haaland or Sancho, you can only pick one. Who do you take? Also, Van der Beek for a Matic replacement. Love the channel. Keep up the great work. I would like Van der Beek. Van der Beek. And if I had to choose between Haaland and Sancho, I think I'd go for the flair player in Sancho. I think Sancho's got the higher ceiling. And I think, imagine having Sancho, Greenwood, Martial and Rashford and Dan James as your 5 forwards. I think it would be fantastic, yeah. Neville probably licking the Glazers' arse now because he wants United to use hotel football for pre-game booking, says Kevin Murphy. And recruiting players is down to Woodward and the manager. Ollie has shown the type of player he wants to sign. Maguire, James and Aaron Wan-Bissaka. He has to be given time to bring in more of the same, says John Murray. Well, no, he doesn't have to be given more time, John. I totally disagree with you on that. He gets more time if he delivers on the pitch. If we were to lose 5 of our next 7 league games, he'd need to be sacked. He doesn't get more transfer windows because he bought 3 decent players. I was playing foot draft yesterday. I had a very, very good 11. I couldn't win a game for love of the money. I was shit. I should have got the sack. So, what he does off the pitch is great as long as it's working on the pitch. And that team is good enough to be fighting for top 4 and we're nowhere bloody near it. So if we don't start going on a good run now, I disagree that Solskjaer should be given more transfer windows to get it right. He's massively underachieving already. I thought he did buy well in the summer. I think there were obvious signings. I want him to start doing well. I want him to get more transfer windows, but he can sack himself, and he must be sacked if he does continue down the route of underperforming with the squad that he's got. I don't think he is. I think we're going to see a bit of a spike. I think we're going to go on a bit of a run. I think he will get January, and obviously we'll get the summer, and it'd be interesting to see what he does with that. But I don't agree with these fans who say give him 2 or 3 more transfer windows, because they're totally ignoring what might be going on the pitch in between it. You know, what if we lost 10 Premier League games in a row? Are those people still going to go just give him more transfer windows? That would be idiocy, because all right, he might be good at spending money and buying players, but he can't do sod all with them on the pitch. That's the director of football. That's not a manager. Are you coming to the USA anytime soon? Says Magic Eye. I think on tour as soon as I think we are on tour in America next year. So yeah, we'll be there. Did you say that the team is good enough for top 4? Says Hello. No, I didn't. I said that this team is good enough to be challenging for top 4. My prediction before the start of the season was that we would be 5th or 6th. But I didn't envisage there being a massive gap as there is in November. But I also knew that the midfield was crap. But having said that, he needs 3 or 4 more transfer windows. Well, if he was in charge of the summer, he didn't replace Herrera, he didn't replace Fellaini, and he left that midfield woefully understocked and not good enough. Juventus want Pogba, trade for Ronaldo for Pogba, and it's a done deal, says Tony Martial. I don't think Ronaldo would do it. Imagine if Ronaldo fancied coming back to United to get us back on top. I'd love that. That what a story that would be. I tell you what, if I was Cristiano Ronaldo, they will make a film of his life at some point. You know, if you're thinking about the ending of the film Cristiano Ronaldo, if you're thinking about the end of a great film that's going to be better than Messi the movie, come back to Manchester United in your twilight years and get us back on top of English football. That would be the journey, wouldn't it? What a story of a career that would be with Ronaldo. Start it basically at Manchester United. I know he was at Sporting, but start it at Manchester United. Win a European Cup, win leagues, go to Real Madrid, absolutely smash it, go to Juventus, do well there, then come back to Manchester United and be the fundamental key as to why we get back on top. It's never going to happen, because I can see people in the live comments going already, I wouldn't take Ronaldo, he's just going to stop Martial playing, he's just going to stop Rashford, he's just going to stop Greenwood. But I tell you what, imagine Ronaldo with Martial, with Rashford, with Dan James, with Greenwood. It would be great. What a story it would be. It will never happen, but it would. I've always said I'll take Ronaldo back, because even if he's 45, I'd take him, because it's just romance. It's just fantasy, isn't it? Messi's better than Ronaldo, says Rudy. I'm not getting into that. I would always take Ronaldo over Messi. JB says, I think Sporting Lisbon's where he started. Yeah, you need to clean your ears out, JB. I said it started off at Manchester United. I know he started off at Sporting, but it really started at Manchester United for him in his career. It's written in the stars, says Ananas. It's not written in any stars. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Just a little bit on some topical stuff. Sanchez is injured at the moment, and Inter Milan are saying that he'll be back playing in mid-January, maybe a little bit before that. I mean, that's quite interesting, isn't it, how long he's been out? We need Sanchez to get back and start playing. But what makes me interested about Sanchez is, when I do my FIFA career mode, and I do it on That's Football, I'll be playing it tomorrow, I'm already in February, and I've just played my first leg of the knockout stage of the Europa League, and it was against Inter Milan, and Lukaku and Sanchez both played. And it got me thinking, if Inter Milan drop out of the Champions League and we play Inter Milan in the Europa League, I think that's written in the stars, will Sanchez play against us, or as part of the loan, would he not play against us? Question for the boffins, I don't know. Lukaku would play because he's an Inter Milan player, but would Sanchez play? Is that written in the stars, that he will score the goals to knock us out? Also, Declan Rice. Some people feel that Declan Rice might be an option for Manchester United. Just Roy Keane before me. He said he loses his runners, he's poor in possession, and I can go on and on. And Roy Keane has trained Declan Rice for Ireland. He probably doesn't like Declan Rice because he's left Ireland to play for England, but I don't rate Declan Rice. I've seen him a few times. I don't rate him. I think in the summer I would have took him because I thought he was better than what he is, but having watched him a lot this season, I think he's quite slow. He reminds me a lot of Matic. He loses his runners, he's not great in possession, he seems a bit slow. And West Ham are quoting 60 to 80 million. I think he is. I'd rather have Pasta. Yeah, I would. I'd choose Pasta over Rice. I do anyway, but I don't. He is just a typical Brexit FC player. If he was Declan Ricardo, instead of Declan Rice, playing for Sporting, no one would be interested in him. You just wouldn't sign it. You just wouldn't sign him. Lampard had 0 transfer windows and is killing it, says Aidan G. But Lampard's got 6 midfielders. We've got 3 or 4. And that's down to our management, I suppose, and our board. Illa United says, I'm better than Rice. He's terrible. I just hope we don't go anywhere near Declan Rice. But you know what we're like. This Brexit FC fascination. I don't fancy him at all. You'll Never Walk Alone 96 says it's 1989. I think it's 1989. It's definitely 1989. It's 1989. Rice is below average, says J2. Below average, says J2 Music FTW. And more like pudding. He's a rice pudding, says Peter B. I like rice pudding with a bit of jam on top. Sanchez can play against us, says Mega Big Des. Okay. John McGinn says Benedict Ngele. And how can you say sack him if he loses games and he should be doing better? We all said the squad is poor, and if we get injuries, even more so. So why are we all complaining? Matt 1. Well, Matt, that's your opinion. That is your opinion. You can do your hands up emoji all you like. It is your opinion, but I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has come close to the sack a couple of times this season. I think if he hadn't beaten Norwich and he'd lost to Brighton at home, he'd be gone. And quite rightly, this start to the season's been poor. I think we're now going to go on a good run. I think he was wrong to use injuries as an excuse because he put himself in that situation. And whilst we've had a lot of injuries, the only players that have really mattered that have been out have been Pogba and Martial. And that's because he didn't replace Lukaku, Sanchez, Herrera or Fellaini in the summer. And he said he had money and he said the right players weren't there, and we all know they were. So I don't use injuries as an excuse for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He came into this squad saying that Chong and Gomez were ready, and they're clearly not. They needed to go on loan. He came into a Premier League season way understaffed, and that was massively inexperienced. And it's cost us, so I think he has to own that mistake. On top of that, even with the injuries, we shouldn't be losing to West Ham. We shouldn't be losing to Newcastle. We shouldn't be losing to Bournemouth. We shouldn't be losing to Crystal Palace at home. We've dropped too many points this season, and I think I think he's going to ride through that storm. I think he's going to get better, and I want him to because I want him to be our manager. But I'm not going to be one of those fans that says I'll give him 3 or 4 transfer windows and give him time and it's not his fault what's happened. He's massively inexperienced. He's massively naive. He hasn't got a great CV and he can get himself sacked. And that's just the way the modern game is. He can also improve. There are definitely sprouts of, not Brussels sprouts, there's sprouts of creativity growing. There's sprouts of positivity growing. And that's what we want to see as a fan base. I think we've all been right to have our concerns on the start of the season. It's not been good enough. But now Martial's back. Rashford's back playing well. Let's get on a bit of a run. I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will still be our manager this time next year. And I'm comfortable with that. But we've got to start seeing the results improving. Take Bale plus £90 million for Pogba. Use the £90 million to get Maddison from Leicester, says XL10. And would you take... McTominay has scored more goals than Lacazette and Pepe combined this season, says JT Music. And have you heard the comment Lukaku had on Oli, says Anton Munter. Apparently, it was something along the lines that Solskjaer didn't want to sell Lukaku. But the flip side to that coin is we already saw that Oli was never going to start Lukaku. He was a bench option. So Lukaku has a high opinion of himself. He wants to play first team football. So Lukaku obviously forced a move and got a move. Because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was never going to play him as his first team striker. So I don't think there's much in that statement really, to be honest. Wouldn't touch Bale, says Raz Khan. And I mentioned this only because I read it earlier, that Sancho to Manchester United in January. Let's wait and see. I think the most important thing for us as United fans is Sheffield United this time next week. Then we've got Astana away. That's going to be interesting. Then we've got Villa. Then we've got Spurs. Then we've got Man City. 4 really big games in the Premier League that we need to take at least 9 points from. Then there's a load of more Premier League games before January. So the January transfer window is going to be interesting, but of more interest and concern and immediate future for me is what we're going to do on the football pitch. We need to start consistently winning games. And then when January's here, that will be exciting because we'll be playing games and the January transfer window will be open. Do I think we could sign Sancho in January? Why? No. Like percentage-wise, 2% out of 100. There's a 98% chance we won't sign him because he's playing for Dortmund. They're in a bit of a title race with Bayern Munich. They're still in the Champions League. Why would he come and why would they sell? I can't see it happening. So Haaland, I don't know about Haaland. It worries me that Mino Raiola's involved. I think that's the biggest hurdle there for United. Mino Raiola. I think we're going to sign Mandzukic. I really do. And that depresses me. But I think we'll sign Mandzukic. So look, January will take care of itself. There's going to be a lot of stories between now and then, and I'm sure we'll discuss them. But we have got a lot of games of football to play for them. And what I would say is that, despite what people say about, we need more transfer windows, if we lose to Sheffield United, we draw with Villa, we lose to Spurs and we lose to Man City, that's 1 point from 12. I think people will be saying he's got to go. So that's how fragile this situation is. I think we had momentum into the international break, and I think we'll take that into the run up to Christmas and we'll get a lot of points. That's my prediction of what's going to happen. If that doesn't happen, we'll drop back to where we were after losing to Bournemouth and after losing to West Ham and Newcastle, where people are saying, I don't think he's good enough again. So it's going to be very interesting. It's going to be very, very interesting. Sancho was rubbish against Montenegro, says Dominic Tansley. Yeah, he is going through, in relation to Sancho, I'm absolutely totally aware that at the moment his form has dipped this season. And I think that's not necessarily a bad thing, because if he was on fire like he was last year, then Real Madrid and Barcelona are going to want him. Liverpool are going to want him. So actually, if you want United to get him, I don't mind that he might be a bit unsettled at Dortmund and he's having issues. I don't mind that his form might have dropped a bit, because he's very, very young. And he might be a bit unsettled, and that might be what's happening with him on the pitch. I don't mind that, because I stand by what I was saying last season. I think Jadon Sancho is one of a handful of younger players that can, in 5 years' time, be one of the top 5 players in the world. So I'm not really fussed about Jadon Sancho's current form. He's not a Manchester United player, so it's not my concern. I believe in him as a talent, and I hope he has a crap season. I hope he has a really crap season. I hope he falls out with Dortmund, and then United can pick him up for a decent price. So I ain't got a problem with that, to be honest with you. Abrima John, hello Mark. Ryan Fraser is available on a free transfer in January. Would you take him at United for quality squad depth? I mean, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Those sort of players sort of remind me of a sort of McGinn sort of player. They look good. Are they good enough to be top 4 players? There is an element of risk to that. But then United are scouting somebody like Sean Longstaff, who I just don't think is a top 4 player. So why would you not go for Fraser? Lozano is better than Sancho, says Illa. Well, I do like Lozano, but we've missed that boat twice now. Why did we not go for the Ajax winger in the summer, says Flynn? Well, I was talking about Ziyech yesterday. I don't know. Why did we not go for Van der Beek or Ziyech? They're probably both available for under 35 million, around that anyway. Semi-finalists in the Champions League, so they've done it at the highest level. Both of them superb against Chelsea in both games, so they've shown they can do it against the Premier League opposition. They'd already shown that against Spurs last year. I don't understand. I don't understand why we wouldn't go for those sort of players. Maybe it's because they're not British. I don't know. United talk about their recruitment staff and how long they've been at the club and how great they are, but I think we know United's recruitment's not been great over the last 6 years, so I don't know. But maybe in fairness, there has been rumours in the past that there are some really good scouts at United who do put names forward and get knocked back by people higher in the club. So maybe those scouts have said get Ziyech, get Van der Beek, and maybe people in the club have gone, no, we're not going to get it. So, you don't know the truth. You don't know the truth of Manchester United, do you? Can't wait for I'm a Celeb, says Sophie. I'm going to end the show because I know a lot of you are going to go and watch it. But before I do end the show, remember, link in the video description. If you weren't aware of the charity stream we did yesterday, it's on Mark Goldbridge That's Football. They've actually put about 14 hours of it up, which is great because YouTube never normally puts something longer than 4 hours up, so you can go and watch bits of it. But the link's in the video description for the Just Giving page. We raised over £10,000 for cancer treatment and care for people with terminal illnesses. Yesterday on the stream that I did on That's Football. If you weren't aware of it and you want to contribute, please click the link in the video description. Go and click it anyway and just read the message board from people who contributed. It's really humbling and it's really real. And I am very, very tired after what we did yesterday because I didn't end the stream till about 1 o'clock in the morning. But it was a fantastic effort from everybody who was involved in the stream, and I was going to stop at about 9,500, and people were like, you can do 10, just keep going. So we stayed on for another hour, and we did do it. So if you weren't aware of it and you want to make a contribution to it, click the link in the video description and do it through the Just Giving page. It's open and we can still keep knocking that up, so just please do, that would be great. Thanks everyone for watching. It's a call-in show tomorrow at 8 o'clock, so you can join us on the Discord for that. And have a good evening. Enjoy Celebrity if you're going to watch that, and please do, if you could keep contributing, that would be great. The link's in the video description. I'll speak to you all soon. Thanks to all the mods, thanks to all of you. Last international break really now until March, so bring it on. I'm really excited about the next week and the next few weeks. I'll speak to you all soon.